debrief on what Windsor Eats entails and what's been going on since COVID for our local culinary peoples, and the challenges that arise and how people are, we could see that people are being creative to try to stand up to that challenge now as well. And I want to thank you for agreeing to co-host with me tonight. So yeah, the thanks, it is right back at you there. The thanks and praise. All right, so I think what we'll do is first we're going to start with Chef Howard, then we're going to go to Chef Paolo. And then if no one has any preference as to who's going to go next, this is the last chance to call your preference for order. No? Okay. All right. We're going to throw Gabby in third then, or you know what? Maybe Gabby should be, do you want to be last for dessert?
I would love that.
Yes. Okay. You'll be last for dessert. So we'll go Chef Howard, Chef Paolo, Chef Julie, Chef John, and then Chef Gabby. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. So with that, please take it away, Chef Howard. You should be able to share your screen as far as I can tell, but I'm going to spotlight you. There we go.
Okay, awesome. Good evening, everybody. And just wanted to thank Michaela and Adriano. Thank you guys for having me this evening. It's a tremendous pleasure to be here with the other panelists. Really awesome, this initiative that you guys have come up with. I want to just first acknowledge a few people with regards to my career and, me just being where I am with it and having come to the destination that I've come to. So I'd like to acknowledge my family, which has been a great part of it. All of my peers, executive chefs, other employees that I've worked with over the years, Chef Robert Long, which is one of my instructors, and Chef Bob Lee. I'd like to acknowledge these people because they were a great portion of my career in terms of steering things for me and getting to where I am. And honestly, guys, I cannot leave out my wife, Sweetjin Lee, and my two boys, they're not boys anymore. They're university graduates, Tristan Lee and Brandon Lee. So you guys know what the trade is all about. 10-hour days, 14-hour days, with these guys being there by my side and getting me through this, they're a large part of my acknowledgement. So with that said, I'll take you guys into a little synopsis of my career. The culinary field was not my first love. That's a surprising thing that a lot of people don't really know about. My first love when I got out of high school actually was fashion design. So I was into that, and I was working like a lot of us when we were younger. I started in the culinary field when I was about 15, and I was doing well with it. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep going with it, So fashion became just a secondary thing, just something that I liked. I started off working at just small scale restaurants, doing basic things in fast food restaurants like Harvey's. I went to Red Lobster Canada and worked for Red Lobster for quite some time when they expanded in Canada and opened up and developed some of their stores across Canada. And that was an amazing experience working with those guys. And I learned a lot of HR work. And that's where I learned a lot of team concept, to be honest with you, is from that time period. After that time, after about 10 years, I then came back to Windsor and started working for Windsor Casino. So Windsor Casino at the time, it was called the Onion. It's on the exact same ground that the art gallery now sits on. So that's an amazing facet within itself, right? We then, switched gears and moved down the street a little bit to 333 Riverside Drive. And that's where happened to be my home for the next 20 years. So working with Caesars Windsor was a good marriage. I learned a lot of things from them, in terms of large scale operations, opening many, many restaurants there, opening the banquet facility as well as the buffet facility. So that was tremendous in terms of handling numbers and in terms of communication and being involved in many, many different channels with a lot of people, a lot of diverseness going on there. After that time period, around 2017, my mom passed in 2017, guys. So what actually happened after that? I started thinking about my future a lot and what I was going to do after that. And I realized that along the way, my mom and my dad, they were small business owners when I was growing up in Toronto, and they really wanted me to delve into that. So I continued to surface on that, and I decided that I was going to make a move and do something for myself in terms of owning my own small business. So my wife and I sat down and we took up a course at the Small Business Center here in the city. And they had a program that was going on, which was government affiliated. And you were able to receive a grant from that. So we did that. That was backbreaking, very, very hard. But we went ahead and did it, and everything worked out. You know, we had to do a 25-page business plan, which is really unique, great learning concept. And after that, we opened up Exquisite Events Catering, which is why I currently reside with right now. So Exquisite Events came about in terms of I wanted to do something that was in-house, that was different, that had a niche that I didn't really see happening in the surrounding area in Windsor. I had done private catering for a lot of years over the last 20 years in home and at different venues, but I wanted to take it to a different scale where the food was more of an intimate experience, and everything that was happening there was really, you know, just a impeccable experience for people and really personal. So we went on that focus, and that turned out to be really, really good. A great part of the initiative with Exquisite Events is student training. So I work with a lot of students from the college, service people, bartenders, cooks, and my initiative with them is to keep some of the training that they've had from the college and take it out into the field, because nowadays it's very, very hard to find. So we like to get them out and keep them within the same aspects that they've had from their instructors and keep that going. And it's really refreshing. And what I really want to do is get them to the point of where these people are able to write their red seals or whatever it is, you know, that how far they want to escalate within the field. So we've seen great success with that already, and I'd like to continue that over the years.
Okay, Chef, sorry, it looks like you froze there. I'm not sure if
As
that's
far as the COVID is concerned, oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, you froze, but actually we are at the 6 minutes, right? It's strange that it froze right at 6 minutes. That's almost uncanny.
Yeah.
Zoom predicted
Okay.
that. But yeah, if
Okay.
anyone has questions, you can continue later on. Somebody will probably have a question to have you continue what you were saying. If not, I will certainly have that question later on. So yeah, so thank you for.
Absolutely, guys.
All right, Chef Paolo.
All right.
You're up, and I'm just going to spotlight you
Okay.
now, and you may go ahead.
Okay. Well, again, I'll echo some of what Chef Howard said. Thank you, Michaela, and thank you, Anthony, for having me here. So I basically immigrated from Italy at the age of 11 with my parents. At the age of 15, I basically started working in restaurants on your street. Most of them were fine dining restaurants. I started like everybody else did, from dishes to line cook, and then I kind of moved my way up the channel. I joined Casino Windsor when they first opened as a cook. And the same thing. I spent 3.5 years there. I kind of moved up the channel. I got to a point where I wanted to get into management position, but at the time there was no opportunity. So I made the move and took a position again as a head chef. Most of my experience is within the fine dining establishments. I worked for Spago chain when they had multiple locations across the city, some in Florida. So I spent some time with them. After that, I joined, after 3.5 years, I joined Caesars. Well, it was Casino Windsor still, and then went through the rebranding of Caesars Windsor. I was responsible for the Artist Cafe room service. At the time, Chef Howard would know because we came from the same environment. Back then, you were doing 3,000 people per day. So it was a pretty busy place. How I got into cooking, I was always surrounded by food. Obviously, I'm Italian. My grandmother, my mother, they're always, always spent time in the kitchen. How I got into the trade, I got to a point where I was, 18, and I was still working in the restaurant business. My parents had to go back to Italy, and I decided to stay here. Obviously, by that time, I went to school. I had my friends, and I continued. So I kind of got into it and almost like just kept going because that's basically all I knew. As I went from being a small teenager surrounded by food, and basically that's all I knew. So I did 2 stints at the casino, spent 5.5 years there, and then I joined University of Windsor as a food service manager. To be quite honest with you, again, everybody knows the business. 16-hour days. Some days were 14-day stretches with no days off. It starts to take a toll on you. Obviously, you have to start thinking, what's important. Yes, cooking is what I love to do, but at the end of the day, you have to find some balance. So I joined University of Windsor as a food service manager, just to have a little bit of more of stability. And then from there, about 5 years into it, the executive chef retired. And by that time, I kind of missed wearing whites. So I was approached for the position. So I decided to go back into the kitchen. And it's been 13 years now. I've been at the university, and 6 of those years as the executive chef. That's pretty much it.
If I recall, you had some photos of your food that you wanted to share.
Yeah, sorry. I figured I'd let you share just some of the food. Obviously, at the university, we have a catering division. I'll just tell you a little bit about the university. Some people are not familiar. They think April, you shut down and that's it. The university in April, even though school is done, we basically operate as a hotel. We turn one of our residences into a hotel, and we host conferences. Obviously, because of COVID last year and this year, it took an impact on our operation. We typically have 900 students living in residence. Obviously, because of COVID now, we're down to about 200 living in residence. So it's a huge decrease in business. Everybody knows, everybody's feeling it. So we went from running 6 outlets, a 4 catering and conference, to 1 operation only, where we're doing just under 200 covers per day. So it's a huge downsize of our operation, and obviously everybody's feeling the effects of COVID. Obviously, we're all looking to get back into some kind of a normality. And yes, it's nice. We do have the downtime now, and there's lots of things to catch up on or things to work on that you typically wouldn't have the time to do when you're just constantly running around. But it would be nice to get back into some kind of a normality and be able to do what we love to do. That's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right on the 6 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paolo.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thanks for sharing. All right, Julie is third, so we're gonna have her take the spotlight now. And take it away, Julie.
Hi guys, so I'm Chef Julie. I own Time to Go in Walkerville, Time Kitchen in the downtown core, and we're newly opening another cafe inside the Zeder building on Howard. So we've been working on that for a little bit. My history is I've always loved food and been inspired by food and driven by food. So when I was young, I always said that I was never good at anything but cooking, so I better become a chef. So I did that. And we've been going ever since. So I started out working at my grandmother's little restaurant when I was like 15. I worked at a bunch of other small restaurants in Belliver and in Windsor-Essex County. I went to St. Clair College to get my chef training, and then I proceeded on to working at places like the Windsor Yacht Club. And then I worked for a place called Taste Bud Foods and met so many different mentors throughout my entire year. I did some stages in Toronto and Ottawa and things like that. And then I kind of started traveling, like specifically to foodie cities to try and kind of see what's out there and what kind of food I wanted to inspire to be. And I think that I kind of decided that it was going to be all foods driven, right? So ingredient driven foods is what we try to do. So when we find an ingredient that we really enjoy using, we try to find different ways to be inspired by that. So 8 years ago, I opened Time to Go in Walkerville. After that, we did a little bit of everything. We actually ran the cafeteria inside of Vistaprint for 5 years. And then during that time, we also took the catering on at Williston Manor. We've actually been doing catering at the Art Gallery of Windsor for several years, and we greatly enjoy that. It is a spectacular space. If you've never been up there, you should definitely take a tour. And also we have expanded again to our Time Kitchen location downtown, which is kind of we call it a lifestyle friendly atmosphere. So we have gluten-free, we have vegan, we have vegetarian, we have a little bit of everything. And we just think that food shouldn't be difficult to find. So we want to bring it all in. Like there's so many ways to make vegan food delicious or gluten-free food delicious. We don't want to tell people that they can't eat all together. So we make our menu available for everybody. Our new cafe, which is opening hopefully in a couple weeks, COVID has put a few, hoops to be jumped through on that side. But yeah, it's going to be opening. It's just going to be a small to-go cafe that's going to be inside the Zeder building, which is a medical center on Howard. And we're basically just going to provide healthy prepared foods for them as well. During all of this, we have, 70% of what we do is catering. So Williston Manor, in-home caterings, off-site caterings, to go, we have our express menus and things like that people just grab and go from. But yeah, 70% of what we did was catering. So when catering was completely shut down, we were greatly affected. And it was a complete turnaround for all of us in my entire team. So and a little bit devastating. We've trucked through, and we're proud to say that we're pushing through. We've brought in different styles of cuisine. We've showcased more of our prepared foods. So obviously more of that's going out the door. And also our date night dinners that we do every 2 weeks. So we have specialty themed date night dinners that people can purchase, and we deliver right to their door. And their cuisine should be heat and serve. So basically things that you can pop in the oven, and then you'll still get restaurant quality food. But basically we just have it all prepared for you. So you can put your courses in the oven, things like that. So that's been a really big one for us right now. It's nice to have the restaurant back open. I mean, limited capacity is crazy, but we're working within those regulations right now, like everybody else. But I think more than anything, we're just happy to still be open and being able to provide good food, and we will get through this. And I think that that's at the end of the day, that's kind of where we all see ourselves. Our date night dinners have been inspirational to all of us. So it's given me the time as a chef to be able to sit down and work with individuals more than I ever was before, working with some of our young chefs and like really creating dishes that we're proud of. being able to research just one country for like 2 weeks and then come up with like an incredible menu of things that we want to showcase. Some of the countries I've been to, some of the countries they've been to, some of the, diversity in our kitchen has shown too. If there's a dish that you just really love, like, let's make it, let's showcase it, let's like make it to our best of ability. And this COVID, and as much as it's kind of jumbled us around, it actually gave us the time to like stop and understand that like teaching is really important in the kitchen, and getting back to the basics and teaching our, taking the time to go back and reevaluate everything in the because we have way too much time on our hands right now. But we're having a tough time. I'm sure everybody is, but again, we're just trying to stay positive. So definitely being re-inspired by different ingredients, going to different grocery stores in Windsor, like just being inspired by the food and keeping in mind that that's why we do what we do, is because of the food, and trying to at least get back to where our creativity used to be. We get so busy when you're doing weddings and showers, and you have thousands of things going on, and we were at like 70 employees at one
I'm
point.
really sorry. I gotta cut you off now, Julie. I'm so sorry, but thank you for sharing with us. And then if anyone has questions for Chef Julie after, then she can continue on this path right here that she was addressing. So next we have Chef John. Here we go. Making you spotlighted.
Hello.
All right, and take it away.
Okay. Okay, I guess following in my colleague's footsteps here, just give you like a quick clip of like where I came from. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I grew up in the city, and a couple of my friends and I, like, we always worked in restaurants. I feel like my mom, one of the things that stuck back in my head, I told my mom I wanted this pair of jeans. Maybe it was in the style at the time, maybe it wasn't, but I'm like, I want these pair of jeans. And she says, I can't afford them. So I said, I'll get a job. And a good friend of mine worked at a restaurant. So I worked my way up as a dishwasher to prep cook to, and all the way up. That led me down the track of actually going to the Cordon Bleu in Orlando. And at that time, I was working at a fine dining Hawaiian restaurant called Roy's. And our menu changed every 2 weeks. Our fresh fish got flown in from Hawaii every 2 days. So I had no time to like get comfortable. It was always learn. And then I graduated school. I met a girl from Windsor, and I asked her if you wanted to move to Las Vegas, because that was my next move. She was living in Ottawa at the time, and she said yes. And then we moved to Las Vegas. So I got a job, not with the same company. They had a couple other restaurants out there. I was offered some executive sushi chef positions, executive sous chef positions, and I turned them down because I wanted to keep learning. So my big thing was, if I already knew it, or my 23-year-old brain at the time was, well, yeah, I got this. Instead, I'm like, I want to learn something new. So I was working at a fine dining restaurant called Rosemary's, and that was a fine dining Creole restaurant that the executive chef was Emeril Lagasse's sous chef back before he started saying BAM. And I had a really great 3-4 months there. O.J. Simpson was the last person that I saw before I left. He was on trial before for memorabilia stuff. And then I left there, and I got a job working for Wolfgang Puck at the Palazzo. And I was there for 2.5 years. I was their butcher and like garmager. I would learn everything that they would show me, I took on. So at 23, it was it's around 2008, 2009, got married, and I left because the economy was like on the biggest like downfall, especially around that time. So I came to Windsor. And then I happened to be looking for a job, and I was a chef at the Gourmet Emporium for about 2 years. Then I left, opened up Sushi Guru, and opportunity came knocking again, where I opened F&B, which is now closed. Now it is called Slices Pizza. But in between time, we opened up the Grand Cantina, which is tacos, mezcal, a lot of universal inspiration. So I just kind of show you quickly what Slices is now, that is F&B. So we got a lot of cool hand-painted murals. It's our kitchen staff. And then in the back, we have a bunch of masks and stuff. Really old fridge that we have beer that's made for us from Craft Heads. It's a really cool, like family-friendly, like one of the best pizzas in Windsor, hands down. I'll put it up against anybody's. And then next door used to be called Carrots and Dates. And now we're going to be calling it Funky Chow Kitchen. And so we're going to have sushi, oysters, dumplings, noodle dishes, small plates to share. Everything's handmade. I can't not express that enough. So I've been working here for about almost 8 months now, just grinding away because I can't hire people to do stuff. I'm just anal about it. So in the background, we wrapped this whole bar in copper, sneeze guards. Back here, it's going to be our oyster bar, where you see your oysters, fresh fish on display. So we did all the work ourselves. The bar itself, we're waiting on white marble. Really cool graphic for the front. And yeah, just always a work in progress. And as Julie was saying, like opening up restaurants in pandemic, and it's hard to get contractors or even materials that you need. So this will be our second restaurant opening during the pandemic. The first was reopening Tallulah Cafe, where it's right on Devonshire. And that's been doing really, really well. We didn't want to change anything that's been a staple in Windsor for almost 15 years now. So even when I flew in from Vegas to come visit my wife before we got married, she took me there, and I took my parents there and whatnot. And, you know, it's just like really one of those things is like a heartfelt, you know, thing where people were saying, thank you for reopening this and thank you for not touching it. You know, it was just more of something that is for the community. So, you know, the way I see things, and I'm sure my colleagues can agree with me, it's, you know, it's not just about us, it's about what everybody else is doing and how can we lift each other up and support each other and to make this city better, especially with our food scene. You know,
Sorry,
I know I
cut you off now.
okay, it's been 6 minutes. That was quick.
We're at the 6 minute. It really does fly by, yeah. But thank you for sharing. And I know everyone's gonna have follow-up questions to all these.
Sure.
We're making them very tantalizing to be continued kind of speeches here, the way we're having to cut everyone off. So I'm sure there will be plenty of questions later on. But thank you for sharing and for giving us a tour. And now we are going to pass it on to Gabby for dessert.
Oh my God, sorry. I'm just like looking at those drawings right now. Can I give my time back to John right now? Hey guys, I'm Gabby. I talk really fast. So if I'm talking too fast, please let me know and I'll try to slow down. So I'm the owner of Bad Witch Bakery on Erie Street East. Originally I opened up Wizards of Walkerville on Ottawa when I was 24, 25. It was on Ottawa Street. Sorry, I said that. And I had no prior restaurant experience. I cooked on sets in Toronto just out of the need because, oh, never slow down. Okay, I'll stop looking at the comments. I was really sick of eating craft dinner on set for the third day in a row. So at that point I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it myself. So that's kind of just like my mentality of everything is like, when I'm tired of something, I just want to take it on, like full on. So everyone was like, well, do you know how to run a business? I was like, no, I'll figure it out. It's fine. I just wanted to create a space that had board games, like bistro menu, and just kind of was like a place for everyone. So we were open and operational there for almost 3 years. And I learned a lot, and I'm really grateful for the successes and the not so much successes. It was successful in terms of how the community embraced us. It was something niche, it was something different, it was something fun, and it was just so beautiful. Like all the friendships, all the regulars that we had, like I'm so grateful for that time. It wasn't so successful in the terms of for most restaurants, like you kind of survive in like just above the red line, and that's already a challenge in itself. But then you couple that with the idea of we didn't have a turnaround time of 45 minutes like most restaurants. We had a turnaround time of 3 to 6 hours, and then people were still fighting us on having to pay a $5 board game fee. And then you can't force someone to drink, you can't force someone to eat when they don't want to. So at that time, my pastry chef went to the golf course. I encouraged her to take the job there. And I was like, well, I'll make a cheesecake, I guess, because I didn't really know what else to make. And I love cheesecake. And it kind of just expanded. It started as a seed, and then it kind of just blew up over the course of a year. At first we had no counter space, and I got a little mini fridge, and then I was basically destroying my counter to fit in like a full unit. And by the end of the year, it was incredible to see how that was kind of supporting the rest of the business. But then also made me feel like I was burning out at both ends of the stick, because I was doing front of house, I was cooking the back, I was now baking, I was doing graphic design, I was doing the social media. So as you know, like when you're running a business, you're doing all the components of it, and burnout is such a real thing. And for not writing yourself a check, especially at the end of 3 years, it really makes you kind of question, like, what am I doing? Is this really worth it? So I kind of just said, like, as long as I can pay my staff, as long as I keep the doors open, I'm okay with this. I'll just get to the end of the 5 years. I'll like kind of break even. I'm just going to shut shop. And then COVID happened, and as awful as it is to say, it was the best thing that could have happened to that business, because it felt like I was running a marathon, like 26 miles, but it felt like 200. But it finally gave me a chance to just stop, catch my breath, and like reassess and look at my business model and what I was doing right and what I was doing wrong. And at that point, I told everyone that I kind of want to like switch to more of a bakery and step away from the board games. And everyone was like, okay, take your time, like keep your ears open, eyes to the ground, like wait 6-8 months, see what happens. I was like, yeah, no, not a problem. And then I was selling cheesecakes still, like people were coming in, like no dine-in service. And then I was realizing that the money was still coming in, and it was actually a better idea. So I was doing deliveries, I think in the end of March, to people's houses, and it was exhausting. I was just been to my 30th house that day, and I was just tired, and I didn't want to go back to make another like 30 cheesecakes for tomorrow. And I saw a for lease sign on a building that used to be Prior Tiki Sushi on Erie Street. So I told my partner Quinn to slam on the brakes quite dramatically, because that's who I am. And I was like, that's the location. And what's so beautiful, like what Tiki Sushi was, that it's like an open concept bar that when you walk in, you're a part of the kitchen there. And I loved that concept of being able to bake, because like I always loved talking to people, but I always found it challenging to be at the front of the house while I was also supposed to be doing things at the back of the house. So I all of a sudden had like a whole new vision, a new concept, a new reinvigorated sense of like purpose. And so within a week, I basically signed a new lease. We were transferring over, and this was in March, April, and May. Like no one knew what we were doing. And then basically we reopened June 2nd. And I feel like there's a lot of hesitation around, kind of like concern of like, is this actually going to work? This kind of like a new business. Are people actually going to like come? Are people going to follow us? And I feel like I had a little bit of a crisis identity, because I still wanted to carry the name Wizards, because I wanted, like, that's what people recognize as us. So it was Wizards and Bad Witch Bakery. But the problem with that is that people had expectations that we were going to still go back to the old. And it was wonderful, because so many of our regulars and our customers came out and like brought their families, brought their friends. And it was such a busy, like, it's been an insane year. And I'm so grateful for all the challenges from the previous location, because it kind of just gives me a newfound appreciation of everything that I'm doing now. And I'm not saying that it's still not a marathon, but it finally feels like I'm stepping in the right direction. And yeah, so I went from making maybe 3 to 4 cheesecakes a week to now like between 100 and 150. So I'm so grateful for Windsor. And yeah, did I run out before the end of the 6 minutes?
Yeah, you actually,
Oh,
before your time, you're done before your time.
Keep going.
Oh God. So I don't know like really what's next. Oh God, what do I talk about? I guess like what I'm really passionate about is invigorating like the idea of art or creativity in baking. So like every single month I try to utilize a different concept, a different menu. Like, so the cheesecake flavors are always rotating. just because also probably like I'm very bored. Oh, I'm out of time.
Like,
Oh,
yeah, you
shoot.
came in under time, but you also like, yeah, but now
Stalled at the end there.
it's
All right.
minutes. So yeah, thank you, Gabby, for sharing. So let's put everyone back on gallery view now. All right, so thank you everyone once again for sharing. These are all like super fascinating stories, and they're filled with hope and creativity and passion. And I personally loved every minute of hearing all of you talk, and I'm sure our audience did as well. Now we get to the Q&A period. So we already got a couple questions lined up. This one's from Steve Gavrilos for Chef Howard. So says, your bio mentions that you have served many influential people during your career. If you can remember, I'm interested to know the most well-known celebrity, political dignitary, and philanthropist that you served, and what food you recall that they loved eating that was prepared by you and your kitchen.
That's a really good question, Steve. One of the most well-known recollections that I have actually is Bill Cosby. I didn't normally work a midnight shift, but I had a stint of about a year or so. And he called up at around 2 a.m. for room service. And he wanted some fried chicken. And when I actually got on the phone with him, I actually didn't think it was him. I thought it was somebody that was giving a prank sort of thing, you know, and he actually sounded just like the guy that you'd hear, you know, talking about Jell-O pudding. And then I was like, wow, it's really Bill Cosby. So that was probably one of the most unique ones that I remember. As far as celebrities and whatnot, you know, there's so many different guys that came through that we serviced in the banquet area in terms of entertainers. You know, can't name them all, but you know, a lot of really distinguished people have come through the place over the years. So it was really nice getting that hands-on experience. And as far as the philanthropes, I had served, you know, a lot of different dignitaries, prime ministers. Stephen Harper, you know, had come through at one time and we serviced him there. So it was really nice. Thank you for that question.
Yes, thank you, Steve, and thank you, Chef Howard, for answering. So question number 2 here is for John. It's from Ligia Arias, and she wants to know, or they want to know, when is John planning to open the sushi restaurant? You're muted. Sorry, hold on. There you go.
Okay, so if anybody remembers Sushi Guru, it was about almost 5-6 years ago. At that time, I almost I competed on Chopped Canada. I got chopped, and then you know, it was kind of this thing where the way I was trained in the States in fine dining restaurants, it was, you know, we don't use fake crab sticks, we don't use cream cheese. Everything that we use was flown in from Hawaii every week, you know, on a weekly basis. And so for our new restaurant, Funky Chow, I want to have that same mentality. You know, there's lots of other sushi restaurants that are really great around the city, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, I always tell people when I open up a restaurant, I want to eat food that I want to go, like I would spend money on if I was in another city, and like search for that, you know, so helping building the community and, you know, like giving different options besides, you know, the norm. So I know like people have been seeing me like walk around the new build out. I have all my power tools here. If I can flip around this camera, this is a little bit of the what the restaurant will look like. So we're waiting on white marble tops, this really cool printed graphic that's supposed to look like big tiles. On the other side is going to be a sushi bar with so cold bar, and I can show you. It's a big roll of copper. So This is going to be all white marble. We're going to have a copper inlay right here for our drink rail. And everything you see here, we've done ourselves in 6 months. So this is going to be the sushi bar. We have a big ice wall in the back that will have crushed ice, so you can have all your oysters on display, all your fresh fish, and you can even be like, point that out and say, I want that one, and we'll cook it up to how you like it. So we are shooting for possibly early to mid next month.
All right. We're looking forward to that, and thank you for answering that one, Chef John.
Yeah, thank you.
So next question we have is from Jennifer. And Jennifer wants to know, I think this is for all of you. How have services like Skip the Dishes helped or hurt the work you do?
All right, who wants to go first?
I'll just pick then. I'll pick. Julie, you go first. Just gotta unmute you though. Julie, oh, yeah, mute. I mean, unmute.
So we've taken advantage of the 30 days free trials and all that pretty much for every one of them. Honestly, you just have to do what you have to do. So yeah, we're with two of them, or we're with Skip the Dishes, we're with DoorDash still. And then we also have Easy Dine, which I don't know if anybody knows about, but it's zero commission to the restaurant. So they take zero profits from the restaurant. It's a little more expensive for the user, but it's all local. And I would highly recommend anybody that does use any of the dine-in services to look at that one. We're basically it is what it is. I mean, we can't change anything. I don't think it's beneficial to a lot of restaurants, but it's better than nothing, I think. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We do a lot of deliveries ourselves as well. So most of our prepared foods or any of our meal plans, we deliver ourselves as well. But it is what it is. The only thing I hate about it is the quality. Like you know that the food's sitting too long, or how it gets to people's door is always really scary when it's a third-party service. So that's the only thing that kind of scares me a bit, because I know we've all gotten kind of something that wasn't as fresh or was cold or something like that. So that's the only thing that I really don't love about the services that they provide, but it is what it is. So.
Indeed. Shall I pick who goes next? I feel like working for the university, Chef Paolo, this isn't something that you have to deal with as much, the Skip the Dishes thing. You're muted though. So easy to forget that.
All right. Yeah, we're a little bit different. Obviously, our students are on a meal plan. But we do have partners, off-campus partners that are part of the meal plan. So the student has the option to order from them. And yes, we do have a lot of these companies coming through to deliver in the residence buildings, but it doesn't really affect us per se. Because they're on a meal plan, right? It's totally different than a regular restaurant, right? So it's very different for us. I mean, there's really no competition. Yeah, it's different. It's different.
Chef John, what about you? You got Skip the Dishes. How do you feel about Skip the Dishes and that sort of thing?
So for us, between the Grand Cantina, Tallulah Cafe, and the Grand Cantina, it's been all over the map. So we're on Skip the Dish. At the beginning, we were part of DoorDash, which we dropped. Then Skip the Dish, and then we joined Uber Eats, and then Jubsy, which is the local one held by Xanoth and Ryan Dunn. And it's I think it's been beneficial. We do take a hit as a restaurant, especially with say the number of orders, and then takeout containers alone. It's better if you do more volume and be able to push out that food and then make up those costs on the back end. But the quality for us is always number one, and it always has been. So it's a unique experience, especially during the pandemic, and then also trying to see what really works for the business, because it doesn't work for everybody. I know everybody's percentage fee from those delivery services are always different. Fortunately for me, I have multiple, and I able to get a better percentage that's taken away from me, but I try to chuck it up as a loss in the grand scheme of things. But if my customers are happy and their food gets there warm, hot, not destroyed, I'm happy. So it's always about having that customer experience, being able to provide the same kind of environment as you're sitting down in the restaurant and a server's coming to you. Yes, it's a little different because you can be in your pajamas sitting in front of your TV eating the same kind of meal, but you're still paying for it. So it's not all about the money on our end. It's about making sure the customer is happy with the product they get. So we're in the same boat as everybody, just trying to feel it out, see what the government says, and to be able to just do our best. And I'm sure all my colleagues around the city are doing the same exact thing and trying their best. And, sometimes it doesn't work as planned, so there's always hiccups, but what are you going to do?
As the Zoom call tonight has shown us, there are hiccups. It's true.
Yeah, for sure.
Chef Howard, would you like to speak to the skip the dishes question?
Yeah, I mean, for me, guys, as far as the skip the dishes is concerned, it's not really something that infringes on my business. I'm hands-on in terms of delivery. And as John mentioned, I'm all about the quality, right? So if there are certain things that clients would like, I have a lot of high-end items. If I foresee that it's something, that can be delivered, then that's great. But if I feel that it's not, then I won't infringe on that for the client, because I'll know that it won't work out for them. And then in the end, it won't work out for me. So the delivery business is very, very interesting for all the guys that are involved in it, because I feel that it sort of, it does take away a little bit from what you do in your creativity, because you're getting two different elements. You're getting an element that's delivered, but then when you come down to a sit-down restaurant, you're also getting another element. So it can be very tricky in terms of that. But for me, guys, it doesn't really infringe on my business as a caterer.
Okay, thank you for, yeah, 'cause I know that's a bit of a different perspective there. So thank you for sharing, Chef Howard. And Chef Gabby, anything, I know yours is also different in that sense too. So
I just refuse to do it just because it eats so much of our profit margins. So unfortunately, I don't do it.
that's okay. I mean, you got to do what you need to do.
Mhm.
Another question though, now this one's a really fun question from Christina. Christina would like to know, what is your all-time favorite dish to eat? And this is for everyone, once again.
That's
a loaded question.
That's a very good question. I will tell you guys that my all-time, and when you mention it to some people, they'll squirm, but when you mention it to a chef, they're all in it, because there's so many variations of it. But at the end, if it's made properly, it's the best meal in the world. So my all-time favorite is a good oxtail, right? If it's made properly, it's the best dish, the best meat in terms of everything, that you'll want in a health aspect. It gives you everything.
Thank you.
I can go next. Anything stuffed. I love stuffed ravioli, stuffed dumplings, pretty much anything that's, homemade and stuffed is probably my go-to. So if I see like a braised oxtail ravioli, like that's what I'm getting. So no matter something like that.
Where can you get a good oxtail in Windsor?
That's
You
one
can
of the
get it.
questions.
You can get it from me.
Before
I'm
we
gonna come see you next.
Before we continue, I just want to say, since it's approaching 8 o'clock, like everyone is welcome to stay as long as they want to. I can continue hosting this forever, basically, but you know, we can't keep, like, the chefs are busy people, so of course we can't keep them here past 8 o'clock because that is the designated event slot time. However, that being said, chefs, if you want to stick around voluntarily for you know, past 8 o'clock to continue answering questions, that's cool too. It's completely up to you, but if you need to go, we totally understand. Will not hold it against you, and thank you for your time so far. But yeah, so with that in mind, and you don't have to, like, you could just take off. You could just type in the chat bye if you need to go or anything like that. You don't need to, like, see yourself out with any fanfare if you want to kind of just slip out quietly. So that's okay too. But anyway, yeah, who wants to go next with the favorite food question? Favorite dish? Favorite dish?
I'll go.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is one of the questions that chefs always get asked is, what is your favorite dish? What is the favorite thing you like to eat? And speaking for myself, I feel like chefs are into anything that they don't have to cook themselves. You know, it's like, you know, you get invited to holiday parties or a friend's house and they're saying, oh, it's like, well, I'm not a chef. I'm like, it could be KD with chopped up hot dogs and I'll be excited about it. But yeah, honestly, like for me, anything that is made with love and you can tell that the person that made it for you spent a lot of time, you know, and they put a lot of care. You can taste that love in the food, which is the biggest thing. So, you know, it's not about, you know, your last meal or whatever. As long as it's made with love, it could be your mom's dish that you grew up eating, that you've been craving, which I've been trying to recreate. One Filipino dish, and it's hard to find ingredients here in Windsor. But I'm like, yes, I called her today because it's my mother-in-law's birthday. She was actually in Slices. So when I was walking around, you saw people in the background. That was all my family. And they made them lumpia, which is a Filipino egg roll, which is, you know, it's more like a cigar shape, a little skinnier, usually served with like either a sweet and sour or just vinegar and garlic, and you just dip it in because it's like just delicious on its own, like a crepe wrapper. So today I used purple heirloom carrots because I already had them, and purple cabbage. But we got locally farm raised pork just recently, and then I ground it myself, just salt, pepper, and then we just kind of went with it.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Gabby or Paolo, who wants to go next?
Sure, I can go. I'm with John. I mean, for me, it's I'm not looking for anything really high end or really looks, you know, amazing. I'm just looking for a basic. Same thing. I mean, I keep in touch with my mom in Italy once a week, and I'll kind of pick her brain on some of the things that I miss that she used to do for me. You know, it could be. I know a lot of people are doing it in the city, but you know, they don't taste like my mom's. I mean, a nice you know, arancina rice ball. You know, she'll put, you know, some secret ingredient inside, you know, saffron in the rice and things like that. Or her ragu is totally different than what we're used to. But for me, you know, it's you know, a nice stew or a nice plate of pasta, like John said, something that when you're eating it, you can actually taste that there was love put into that that dish. So anything that's 30 years old, or you know, that I remember when I was, you know, 11 or 12. These are some of the dishes that I try to replicate because like John said, it's almost like they're hiding a secret ingredient from you when you're trying to find out how they did it. And you call your mom and she'll tell you, yeah, put a little bit of this, put a little bit of that, but there's no measurement. So
It's more like, yeah,
yeah,
just put it in your palm.
yeah.
You put it in. It's like, what is that?
I want to
Yeah.
jump in for a second because it always makes me laugh that a lot of people who aren't in the industry think that living with a chef must be the best thing ever because of all the gourmet meals that they're going to get at home. But I know from what we know, when the chefs get home, they're more looking for someone else to cook from, or people would be amazed that a chef will just go home and open up like a can of SpaghettiOs and be absolutely content with that, just because it's something that's simple, comforting, and they don't have to work on.
Yeah.
You know, you spend enough time in the kitchen where you make these fancy meals for all these people, but you're always tasting, right? So it's like, okay, that could use a little bit more acid, that could use a little bit more salt. But then a day, you know, like you're working this 14-hour shift and you're not full, you're not hungry, but you're not full. As soon as you leave those doors, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
McDonald's is open. You know, like,
Yeah. Taco Bell looks very good right now.
yeah, it's like, it's kind of that's the chef dream. You know, you use a lot of your own attention to detail, like all your spirit, to put it into this one dish to provide a customer a really great experience. And then by the time you're done, it's like, so what do you get to eat? I'm like, well, not the same thing, you know. You're like, okay, cool. Like I'm getting a hamburger.
Yeah.
And a beer or two.
Can't forget the drinks. What
Oh,
about
yeah.
you, Gabby?
I love cold leftovers, as nasty as that is to say. But just like
I agree with
right? But back to the idea of being sentimental, like when you first asked the question, I was just thinking like, okay, like what dishes do I love of my nana and my mom's? And it's just the idea of like cooking with love. And my favorite dish of all time is like these stuffed olives that my nana does. I have no idea, like it's somewhere like from the region of Italy that she's from, that you take these olives and then you stuff them and then you deep fry them basically. And it's the greatest thing in the entire world. And I think why I love them also so much is because she knows that I love them. So every time I used to go over there, she would tell me painstakingly how many hours it took her to make this bowl of olives. And then like, so I had to like kind of just amp up how much I love them. And then like, that just actually made me love them even more. That it was like this labor of love. And then like, I think that's how I translate cooking and baking for people, is because I kind of just like took it from her and my mom. And like, that's what I want to do with people. And like, you're kind of like snacking and eating all day, but you're not really eating meals for yourself. So you kind of have to live like invigorously through other people. And like, you have to see them eating your food and be like, so how'd you like that? Was that good? And then you're like, that gets full. And then like, it kind of just like speak that all day, right?
Yeah. We need constant reassurance that we're doing a good job. Like, if you like it, are you sure you good? You good? Okay.
Right.
The
And then
best
you go
thing
home and then like
in a restaurant. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
The best thing in a restaurant is like if you're on behind the pass and you send out this dish and somebody orders it and they go, you know, they take a bite and they kind of do like a happy dance, like in their seat, and you're like, all right, I did something there, you know. That's like the best feeling. And like nobody knows like anybody's watching, but you're just like,
But do you ever do that, like, and go home afterwards with that same expectation?
You're waiting for that
You make food for someone else, and then they don't do the
Yeah.
happy dance, and you're like, "What's wrong with you? Where's my recognition right now?"
yeah.
Jennifer would also like to know Adriano's answer to this question. Favorite dish?
And this is dealing with restaurants all the time. This is one thing we always get asked is, you know, what's your favorite restaurant? And same thing, what's your favorite dish as well? And I don't know if it's just me. I'm sure the chefs are the same way as well, but it can change from meal to meal, day to day. I mean, from the mood that I'm in at that time, that's going to dictate what my favorite dish is going to be.
100%.
I'm wanting something that's really hearty, or something that's lighter or deep fried versus fresh. That answer is completely different every single time I'm asked it. It really is tough to say.
Fair enough. I feel like, I mean, I love everyone's answers so far. I'm very charmed by them, but personally, I think that's the answer that I identify with the most. Something different
Again,
every time.
I will also say it's something someone else has made for me. that
Yeah.
is always going to be the answer. It's not going to be anything that I've made myself. It's going to be something someone else has made for me.
Fair enough. We have a question now specifically for Chef John. How has your Filipino background inspired your work as a chef / business owner?
Okay, so I know my mom's in this chat, so like I can she's gonna be pretty happy about this. But growing up, so I'm Filipino American. Both my parents are from the Philippines. I grew up in Baltimore, and I would go to school eating Filipino dishes out of my lunchbox, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, what is that?" Da, da, da. And then I realized that my classmates are eating sandwiches, da, da, da. Then so my mom starts making these. My mom makes the best sandwiches, by the way, and they're always like perfectly layered, like the bread, meat, tomato, lettuce, but it's all in good quantities of everything, and I always remember that. But for Filipino cooking, it's always striving to get back to what I grew up with. So, here, so for my mother-in-law's birthday, they were at Slices. With the COVID restrictions, we have 10 people inside, so we had that whole side booked with just like my brother-in-laws and my kids and my wife. But she asked for something that is more of a highlight of what we're gonna do with Funky Chow next door, which I'm sitting in. So I made Filipino egg rolls, lumpia, but I used heirloom carrots and purple cabbage. But taking those things and elevating. So instead of a regular sweet and sour, I used yuzu juice from Japan, which is not cheap, but I already had it. And I used that, a little bit of sambal. So I made 2 different kinds, like a more spicy, not spicy. But I always try to add, no matter where I'm at or like which restaurant is open, like Cantina, F&B, not yet Tallulah, but and then Funky Chow. I'm always trying to push that envelope of adding a little bit of Asian flair, a little bit of Filipino flair, just to make sure that it opens up people's palates, and they were like, "Oh my God, what is that?" For instance, at Cantina, I have banana ketchup on my menu that I grew up eating, but I make my own version, and I pair that up with duck fat French fries. So we have one dedicated fryer that is full of duck fat. It's a potato starch French fry, so it's like mashed potatoes inside and a really crisp shell outside. And then I toss that in a little bit of cilantro, Parmesan cheese, and truffle salt. Not the cheapest thing, but I'm like, I just like that. I like to add things on my menu that I want to eat on my day off. And where am I going to find it? I don't know. I'm hoping for other people to open up places to be able to do the same things, use their same experiences growing up, and just kind of reading the crowd to be able to do these things. So it makes memorable experiences just for not only for chefs or foodies, but for people off the street.
Thank you for answering that, Chef John. We have another question. This one is for everyone, I think. It's from Fidelid. It's a 3-parter. So, do meal prep kits help to encourage people to want to learn to cook, or is there an adverse reaction? Why prepare your own food if you can buy a meal kit? That sounds like a tough one. I'm not a chef, but that sounds like a tough question right there.
Well, okay, I'll go. I feel like the meal prep kits, it depends on where it's coming from. Some places are, instructions like A to B, and then they have their protein, starches, veg, and then give you all the instructions how to do it. Those are for the adventurous. Sometimes I feel a lot of these meal prep things are made for people that work just as much, and they just want something easy, right? So they don't need all the ingredients.
Oh, John's gone.
You should.
Sorry,
still...
am I here?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I don't know what I pressed. I feel like it's just like some people want things that are made easy. So it's okay, add part A to part B, put it in the oven for 45 minutes, set a timer, let it cool for 5 minutes, and you're ready to eat. And some people want to be taught, right? So, cooking classes, I know like all my colleagues here have done these, and people are just asking questions and questions, that might not necessarily be what they want. So, or what it is. So you just have to, it's a give and take, on that. For me, it's like, I don't know. I go to my in-laws that live a block away, and they're like, "Yeah, hey, we got burgers today," or whatever. I'm happy. But it's especially during this pandemic, people are still working a lot, and to be able to provide really good food for them just to pick up, take home, unbox, and sit down with their family. That's another really awesome thing that we can provide for Windsorites alone.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
No,
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go.
Oh, no, I think the meal prep, obviously there's different variations. I think it depends on the individual. Obviously in a normal world, everyone is busy. No one has time to cook. So obviously the easiest thing is to just call somebody, the meal comes ready to go, put it in the microwave. Obviously now with COVID, there's a shifting gear as far as, meal prep. Obviously, a lot of people are home, a lot of people are working from home. So there's a lot of meal kits out there that are healthy. Again, like John said, with instructions, everything is weighed, everything is portioned. I know some of my friends are ordering from some companies that everything is portioned. Obviously, they're looking to lose weight. So I guess it all depends on the individual. And I think now some of the meal kits with the instruction is basically to keep things interesting, and because people are home and maybe they get to, even if it's just a pizza kit, they can get their kids involved and make pizza at home together. So I think it all depends on the individual. And then there's other people that are still working where they're very busy. And they just, it's easier to call another meal prep company where it just comes to your door and you put it in the microwave. So I think it depends on the person, or what their ultimate goal is. Is the meal prep to eat healthy and lose weight? Is the meal prep for you to get to learn something and entertain with your kids? There's different variations of meal preps out there, and you can tell that everybody's pretty much shifting and trying to do the meal kits, right? Because people are home. Even people that are working, they're working from home. So why not get your kids involved and stretch that pizza dough and make pizza at home?
Yeah.
I'm going to chime in on that for a second, because we do a pizza. It's not meal prep, but we do a pizza class, a pizza making class. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because people do ask a lot of questions, and this is more of the entertainment factor, and there is a lot that they're learning. But at the end of the day, even when you're providing them all that knowledge to be able to learn and entertain, they will still more likely get that dish or get that place from the restaurant who's providing it. And it actually builds more of a connection with the customer, from them having to take in the class with the chef and the restaurant, and end up being kind of a more long-term customer because they've built that personal connection with them, which is really interesting to see that a lot of times it is more so the entertainment factor, at least from kits, like a pizza kit we'll be able to do, versus actually learning to make it on your own.
So I get this question a lot because we do prepared food. So things that you can just put in the microwave, like everyone said, or put in the oven, or we have lasagnas and shepherd's pies, things that are available that people can just do that. And they're like, isn't this taking away from your business? And I'm like, no, like we are all chefs and we love fresh food and we love people cooking and like being inspired by food, because we want you to eat our food, which is usually fresh and delicious and like creative. And those, if those boxes are providing you that, that's great. But like long term, like you know, sometime down the road, you're gonna start liking fresh and delicious foods, and you're not gonna go to Kelsey's, and you're not gonna go to like the chain ones that are, you know, potentially a little bit less of a fresh factor, right? So we're cool with you guys learning to cook. Like you're gonna have more, you know, confidence in what you're eating and what you're asking for and what you're seeing on menus. So like, yeah, of course we want to see you guys succeed in that. And if you have questions, reach out to any of us. We'll help you out with those meal kits or whatever you need.
Awesome. I love the answers that the panel has provided, and I think honestly it's just an expansion for culinarians in the food industry towards the meal prep. So, you know, as Julie mentioned, you know, just keep going. If it's something that we can provide for people and, you know, they enjoy it and the concept of it, then I think it'll be something nice for the future.
Thank you.
Can you
all.
guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. We can still hear you. This is good. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
So I'm using my business partner's phone, and then I somehow locked myself out of her phone. So I can't I can't see anything. It's just a black screen.
You can,
Whatever,
okay, so
whatever
you
you
can
do, just
see
don't
us.
wander into a bathroom.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm already in the bathroom. I'm
No,
not. I'm still
Michaela,
sitting at the park.
Michaela, I was wondering if I could ask a question as well, because I know it's something that I'm really interested in, and Julie and Gabby touched on it a little bit, and I know it's been huge for us at Windsor Eats that, you know, normally you have no time to assess your business models or train and evolve as a business because you're so busy and right into the weeds in things. And while there's all this talk about the negative of the pandemic, I would love to know what one positive that they've been able to achieve, the people here on the panel have been able to achieve that they're most excited about and will have like a long-term impact on their business and how they operate post-pandemic.
I would love to answer that one for you, Adriano, because actually in my talk, I didn't get a chance to expand on the COVID, and that was my last segment. So for me, guys, as a caterer, and for what's happening right now, it's actually worked in my favor, because when I opened up the company, when I opened up Exquisite Events, I set up the platform for small scale. Small scale being, you know, maybe hundreds, 50s of that nature. I have done large scale in between on request, but it was set up to be more of an intimate factor. So now with the COVID and the different things that the Premier has put out, everything is sort of like pretty much falling my way in terms of that, with the 40s in the backyard and the 50s. I'm now getting requests from people to have these things.
Hey,
they continue to come in because people are now reworking, they're rethinking what they want to do, Adriano, in terms of that. So it's actually worked in my favor, you know.
Okay, Chef John, I have muted because I'm not sure what's going on right now, just in case. I think Chef John is on a phone call. So anyway, would somebody else like to continue answering the COVID question from Adriano?
So I can go next. Positive of COVID, there's been a lot. Like, honestly, like, I've never had a Saturday night off in December in my entire life. And like, this was the first year that I can say that, like, I actually got to Zoom call like and go to a Zoom Christmas party in December. That's never happened. But other than that, I think it's just the positivity of what we have had time to do and like reassess and like relearn and like get re-inspired by, you know, just having time to like stop and look at other people's cookbooks and things like that. Like, I think that's just it. Like, it's about the time and the, you know, the small things that we couldn't do before, or maybe we're forced to. I feel like everyone's like reinvigorated and like ready to go. And but also, like Chef Howard said, like we work with Willisted Manor, that's, you know, a small venue. So people are reevaluating their like 500-person weddings. And so we think that whenever this comes out, or, you know, we end up getting out of this, or whatever that's going to look like, we do think that smaller venues and smaller weddings are going to be a trend. So yeah, some positives, I guess.
Good, thank you. Chef Paolo?
Yeah, I think some of the positive stuff is again, like everyone said, there is time now. So you know, in a normal situation, you know, you're always running around and you don't have time to, you know, to reflect and look at things and say, you know what, this might need attention. Now, you know, with COVID, it's giving you the opportunity to actually sit down and rethink. As far as for myself, you know, obviously we're hoping for September school year to be somewhat normal. So it gives me an opportunity to plan and look at different things in a different way. And you know, the planning is a huge thing. During normal operations, you don't have time to do things. So that, and then also, I think everyone can appreciate the other side of the good thing of COVID is the appreciation for family time spending. You know, at the end of the day, you will never get this time back. I mean, the amount of time that, you know, I get to spend with you know, with my son and with my wife. In a normal situation, you're always away from home and you're always working long hours. So that side of it is good because you know, it makes you really realize, you know, realistically, the industry has taken you away from that, and there's a huge appreciation for what's really important. Yes, your career is important, your job is important, but it puts things in perspective. And I think a lot of this is going to turn around in a good way. Yes, COVID has done some, you know, impacted a lot of people, has done some negative things, but I do believe a lot of good things are going to come out of this. It's going to make people really rethink, you know, their everyday routine and, you know, what's important, you know, what's really important. Is it important for me to go to the gym, you know, 6 times a week? Maybe that's not really important, right? So I think there's going to be some positive things coming out of this, as bad as it is. But you know, it gives you an opportunity to look at everything, you know, and gives you more time to plan and properly plan for the, you know, new school year, and or a better experience for our students when they return in September.
Thank you.
Well said.
There you are.
Chef John, do you have anything to add?
What was the question?
Adriano, do you want to restate your question? I can't hear you, but you're not muted.
Yep.
Oh.
I had to do that at least once, right? There's all the talk about the negative of the pandemic, but Gabby and Julie touched on that there's positives as well in being able, you know, you normally don't have time to reassess certain models or products or train or anything like that. And what is something that you're most excited about, a positive that you've been able to achieve during the pandemic that you feel will have a long-term impact on how you operate?
Okay, well, like if I can take one experience from the cantina, is we didn't shut down once. You know, a lot of our friends had to make decisions to lay off whole staff, close their restaurants, you know, because they didn't know what was going on. Fortunately for me and my business partner, Rosemary Woods, we were able to stay open at Cantina during this whole pandemic and to be able to just kind of push forward. You know, and at one point it was just me in the kitchen and Rose is on the phone, and, you know, I'm making all the tacos for everybody and just, you know, just supplying people with
a little bit of hope. So like even at the beginning of the pandemic, I didn't understand what things were like rolling into or how things were going to progress. So I did reach out to Fresh Start Foods, to my buddy Steve Meehan. He was the rep there at the time, and I reached out to him. I was like, hey, if there's any way I can get produce that are not perfect, like A or B, that usually would see at like Metro, Zehrs, maybe has like a weird like thing kind of growing off of it, but it's still like a totally fine cucumber or carrot. Can I have that? If it's going to go right in the garbage, can I have it so I can provide food for the needy? A lot of people at that time were just automatically just getting chopped, getting their jobs cut, and they didn't know where meals were coming from. So at the beginning, it was one of these things where I wanted to be able to provide food for people with uncertain times. So it's hard, to kind of see where we're going, or even now. Yes, our numbers are dropping, and things are starting to open back up, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, how long is this gonna last? Or whatever. So I'm just rolling with the punches like everybody else. We're just trying to do the best we can with the means we have, and then pushing it out to our neighbors, because at the end of the day, it's not all about sales. It's about community. It's about building relationships and and friendships at the end of the day. I'm here for people. You can call me anytime, and if I see somebody that needs help, I'm gonna give them the shirt off my back, and I try to help them as much as I can.
That's really awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, thank you.
I didn't know that initiatives like that were going on right now, actually, that anyone was doing anything like that during this time. And then Chef Powell, also thank you for putting into perspective, like what truly matters. So these are we had a couple of really heartwarming answers here just now. Thank you for those.
You're welcome.
We have another question, really interesting question from Derek. Derek would like to know if the chefs can talk about how they try to draw on locally sourced produce / animal products as opposed to having them shipped from all over the place.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Me?
Or I can go.
Like, I don't know. Like, somebody go.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go first. So I'm a huge supporter of local. Not sure if you guys are aware, but obviously there's a certification called Feast On, a part of the Culinary Alliance. University of Windsor residence dining facility. I've been at this for over a year, and obviously COVID hit after and kind of set us back a little bit, but we received a certification for Feast On, and we're the first and only university in Ontario with this certification. And it's basically, if you're familiar with the program, it's basically it shows your support in promoting and supporting local farmers and artisans. So we're pretty excited about that. Obviously, being the first and only university in Ontario, which now I'm sure it'll initiate some other universities to get on board. There is colleges out there, culinary colleges that are certified, but there's no university in Ontario at the moment. So we're the first ones. I myself, I try to source as much local as possible. We partnered up with a farm out in Leamington that supplies us with peppers. We're looking to be doing some work with the Mush Hub. So we try to support as much as possible.
I think Chef John, were you trying to say something? I got you muted again here. Right.
There you
There you go. Okay. So yeah, thank
Um,
you, Chef Fallow.
Trying to think about the question again.
About sourcing local produce and animal products as opposed to having them shipped from all over, like, doing what you can, I guess, to get local products.
Sure, absolutely, and especially with a lot of my places, I try to stay as local as possible. Local is, these days can be not only Windsor-Essex, but all the way to London, Guelph, but using products that the farmers are making contacts with like every, as every like week on a weekly basis, pretty much saying, be coming out with these heirloom tomatoes or, free range chickens. And, yes, they might cost a little bit more, but at the end of the day, like you can see, like for eggs, the quality of the shell. Like it's not just like one tap and you can crack it open. It's like tap, 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 then like physically cracking it open, or the color of the yolk. You can see that, like the care and the time was spent into products. So, and for us, it's not all about the profit at the end of the day. It's more like using the best product we can without overcharging our customer, right? So it's like you're trying to make this balance, and making feasible, but it doesn't always work in our favor. But it's always going to be an ongoing battle, especially right now during the pandemic. There is a lot more, say like meat, dairy, like pretty much everything cost-wise is going up. So I have a family of 4. I have a 5 and a 9-year-old, soon to be 6 and 10. And my bills just at going to Zehrs have been anywhere from beginning pandemic. I'm like, oh, $100. Like that's a lot of money on just like basic stuff. Now, sometimes I'm leaving the grocery store at $200.
Yeah.
I'm not buying anything crazy. So it's hard to gauge what it's going to be like in the next couple months to a year, just based on these trends. So maybe the next trend would be how local chefs can transform everyday products into gourmet meals, or how to show people how to elevate their food at home. So not necessarily going to restaurants. Restaurants are it's a treat. I as much as I love seeing familiar faces on a weekly basis, I want to see other people that I haven't seen before or haven't seen in a year, and reconnecting with those families, those couples, and and catching up. Because it's a labor of love, right? So it doesn't matter if you're cooking for 2 to 20. You see familiar faces, and you already know, like kind of in the back of your mind, what they want to eat and what they want to see, and you're trying to provide that for them. So it's an always ongoing thing, especially with my chefs here. It's like an adaptation to what things are shaping up to be.
Chef Julie? Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I can go next. I've been really lucky. So obviously we've been trying to showcase as much small business as we possibly can. We've actually started selling a few more small business products in all our locations, just to kind of showcase them more, and really like fill our shelves with local producers that are doing great things in Windsor. On our side, I'm very lucky because my mom has kind of taken her garden over and let us, last year, it started last year, right before all this kind of started, we were talking about canning and like making fresh jams and jellies and things like that. And my mom was able to provide us with a lot of ingredients for that. But like a lot of my chefs didn't know how to can, how to jar, how to do any of those things. So that was like the first thing that we did during pandemic, was start like learning how to or in teaching how to like can and preserve and, you know, what a real tomato tastes like and what a real tomato tastes like when it comes from a garden instead of a box, like things like that. So that was a really great learning opportunity for, you know, chefs at my work. And then this year, my mom is literally, we're bringing the chefs out to the farm so they can kind of grow and taste and try everything themselves. Hopefully it all works out. I'm not, like I said, every day is a roller coaster. So we're doing the best we can, but we've ordered all the seeds, and we're hoping that we can get them out there and to kind of see and just get back to what it is to be a chef and what it is to use fresh and real ingredients. I think is so important that a lot of people are so disconnected from their food that, you know, like when I look at a beet and somebody doesn't know what a beet is, and I'm like, what, like how, like, or whatever it is, right? So I think like even with we talked about the meal kits and things like that, just like getting people back in the, you know, that the chicken has more than the chicken breast, and like utilizing all the parts of the animals and things like that. Like I think that's just so important for us to get back to and teach and show and use in our restaurants so that other people can see that it's good as well, right? So. Oh no,
I just realized I was muted. My bad. Thank you, Chef Julie, is what I was trying to say. Chef Howard, sorry, go ahead if you have anything to say on that as well.
Yes, I think it's a really amazing initiative right now as far as the local sourcing is concerned, whether it's going to be produce or if you need meat products on a, you know, arbitrary wise. Windsor and Essex County is the major ground from that. You know, we have the wineries here. We pretty much have the best soil in southwestern Ontario. So I think it's an excellent thing. One of the things that I wanted to share with the panel and perhaps some of the folks that are still on is I met up with a young man about a year ago. His name is Matt, and he's fresh out of university, and he hooked up with RBC on an initiative and got himself going. He has a business, Northridge Greens. Maybe some of you guys have heard of it. And yeah, he's doing really well. I'm extremely proud of him. You know, I've seen him in Remarks when I was there the past couple of times. So he's making his way up, and I love to see stuff like that with young people, because that's that, you know, it's that rebranding, it's that growth. And, you know, the initiative that he's putting forward, he's showing other young kids also, hey, you know, that you can do something like this too, if you want, because there's so many different initiatives out there, government program wise, for young people and for university students that are graduating. So my hat's off to him. Love to see that.
Awesome, thank you. We have taken up more than enough of your time, obviously, but there is one more question if you're all game for one more question.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
All right, thank you very much for that. So this one actually comes from Chef Howard's wife, Shuijin Lee Hyman. So to all the chefs, and unfortunately Chef Gabby had to leave already because cheesecake in the oven, and nothing is more important than cheesecake in the oven. We all know this. So to all the chefs, what would you say is your specialty?
Ooh.
Chef Howard, you go first.
That's a good one. Thanks for that, John. You know, that's a really interesting question. You know, when you throw out specialty, you might as well throw out what it is that you actually like to prepare the most. So for me, you know, in the culinary circles, I love to work on garde manger type items. I love decorating, so that's one of my big fortes. And as much as I love all the other things, you know, all of the hot items that come from the cuisine, I would have to say that my heart is in with the garde manger side of the business. And for those of you that are out there that, you know, don't have much of an understanding with the garde manger, that's just a cold kitchen. in France. So what happens there is you have everything that has to do with much of your produce, salad dressing, all those type of things, but it also branches out to doing decorative work, like chocolate work, ice work, all those type of things. So I love to be involved with the artistic side of what we do.
Thank you. Thank you, Chef Howard. All right, who wants to answer that one next? No
Okay.
one- Okay.
Whatever. I always find that a loaded question. People always ask, what's your favorite thing to cook? What's your favorite cuisine, or what's the favorite thing you like to work with? And in my experience, I started at this restaurant called Bob Evans in the States, which is, I'm flipping eggs. And I learned how to be a really proficient short order cook and make eggs in any style in like 2 minutes, and then so now as I keep evolving, it's more for me is what haven't I learned yet, and how can I get my foot in the door and try my best. It's trying to be proficient in a lot of styles, not just one thing. Like I can't be the best Mexican restaurant and also be the best sushi chef at the same time. So I try to dabble in everything, and if I don't know all the answers, I'll hire those people and work with them. So it's all about community and how we can build each other up. In my eyes. So I don't ever have. Yeah, I get that question asked a lot. What's your favorite thing to cook? Me, I'm like, I don't know. It changes on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or maybe sometimes I get a craving for a spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's. I don't know. It changes all the time.
I'll go next, I guess. So yeah, like Chef John said, it's the hardest question you can ask. It's like, what's your favorite food? Like I guess what I would say is I really enjoy making somebody like something that they didn't like. So tons of people don't like mushrooms, but if you roast them or you do it a little bit differently, people can really enjoy them. So I guess the best thing that I can put out there is something that you potentially didn't like and make you like it. So if I can do that in a day, if I can get someone to be like, I never liked red peppers until I had something that had red peppers in it from you, then I did my job for the day.
That's a great answer.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Especially since I don't like mushrooms. That's maybe I'll come and order a mushroom thing from you then.
But do you not have you tried all the mushrooms? Right? So you got to say like, I don't like button mushrooms. But have you tried all of the mushrooms? Because I'm sure I can find one that you like.
Thank you. Well, I look forward to that day then. Chef Paolo?
Yeah, I'm with Chef John. I don't really have a preference. I don't like to make the same dish too many times. I like to explore always different things, and 99% of the time is not using a recipe. It's just kind of taking either I've seen something on TV, but then I put my spin to it. So there's really no recipe, and I like to explore. I like to try different things. Things that I haven't made before or I haven't tasted before. I'm pretty good at opening up the fridge and if there's 2 ingredients in there and try to come up with something. I'm just one of those people that can just pull something out of very minimal ingredients. So yeah, there's really nothing. I don't have a preference. But I like to test my waters, test the waters with different things. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Very
just
good.
keeps-
Everyone's given such excellent answers tonight. Thank you so much for your time and for your presentations and for sticking around for long after the event was supposed to be done for Q&A. I don't know about you all, but I personally really enjoyed that, and I'm glad that you did stick around.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having us. And my phone is about to die, so I'm just gonna say it before I quit. You know, I am super humbled that I got asked to be part of this, and especially with the chefs that are a part of this as well. We're all in this together, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you, Chef John. We hope to see you soon too.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care, Chef.
Here.
Yeah. Okay. So one quick thing, so the space right here, Funky Chow Kitchen is what we're gonna call it. It's gonna be hopefully open next month in about probably early to mid-March. This is like kind of an idea wall to where we're gonna have white marble on, a really cool printed graphic, lots of fun, cool booze behind the bar. This is gonna be our sushi bar, cold bar. And so this is all kind of my architects, local architects like work. And really, really happy and excited to be doing this in Walkerville. Just pumping it. So lots of ideas going. I'm always covered in sawdust, especially right now in a dress shirt.
Well,
But
Time to be covered in sawdust.
yeah.
Sorry,
Thank you so
Chef
much.
Julie.
Thank you so much for having me. Nice seeing you guys, my friends. Stay strong. And I will talk to you guys soon.
See you soon. Thanks.
Be good, John.
Take care, John.
Thank you. Sorry, Chef Julie, you were starting to say something and I cut you off there.
no, I just said good luck to Chef John.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah, thank you all for being here, and thank you, Adriano, for co-hosting with me and for asking your questions and speaking your words. Really appreciate it. It was a pleasure having all of you on this panel tonight, and for having you stay late. I really appreciate that as well. So yeah, thanks for everything.
No problem. And it was a pleasure meeting, whether we're calling this meeting or not, but both all the chefs as well. So we don't usually get out of our kitchens too often. So it was really nice to put a face to a business, or, you know, what you guys do, and much respect to everybody that's going through this. So I guess we'll all stay strong together.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I want to say this is good timing too, because my dog is like pressed right up against me saying, why haven't I been fed yet?
I have both cats on both sides of me right now. Like dinner time was an hour ago. So
After this presentation, I bet they're extra hungry.
For me, same thing. I'm very humbled to be asked to be part of this today. I want to thank Adriano. I want to thank you. Obviously, for me, the opportunity to be able to meet some new faces and obviously familiar faces. The opportunity to have seen Chef Howard. I haven't seen him in a while, and Adriano, I haven't seen you in a long time.
In a while.
It was very. It was very nice to see everybody. Like I said, familiar faces I haven't seen in years, and then obviously meeting new people. I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for having me today.
Our pleasure. And also thank you to our lovely audience. Most people have had to go by now, but for those of you who are still here, thank you for still being here and sticking around to the very end. Yeah, so I'm going to send an email to everyone shortly, just as a kind of final debriefing and thank you. And hopefully we'll see everyone around at some of our next events coming up at the AGW. I'll say more about that in the email, but yeah, thank you absolutely everyone, chefs and audience alike, for being here tonight. It was a pleasure being one of your hosts, and yeah, like everyone's been saying, we'll get through this together, and in the meantime, just gonna hang in there like we have been doing with our Zoom mishaps and all the chaos. So
Yeah, was an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Adriano, and both of you guys did an excellent job with this, and it was an amazing experience getting together with the panel. You know, when I saw the names that were drawn with that, I thought amazing. Some of the people I had not known, and just really, really excellent experience to learn, you know, about the nature of their businesses and, you know, the different things that they feel. So thank you so much again, guys.
Well
Sorry,
said.
sorry. I'd like to thank Chef Howard, obviously, for putting my name through on this. I appreciate it, and thank you again.
Very
Yes,
welcome,
also
Paul. Continue the good work.
Thank you.
my deepest gratitude to Chef Howard as well, who has been a great resource in connecting me with other chefs throughout the community. So thank you so much for helping me out with that. You know what, you're technically a co-host too in that sense as well.
You're very welcome. I mean, as you guys can see, at this point in time in my career, with my family grown and whatnot, a lot of the panel, their families are young. I've really enjoyed, you know, a great portion of my career, and just looking forward to doing different things and seeing, you know, what the city has to offer. I love the way it's going, and, you know, what things are being offered. I am only saddened, guys, by some of the closures that I've seen with some, you know, of our friends in the community, chef friends and whatnot, throughout this pandemic period. But yeah, we'll all get through it, man. So continue to be blessed and do good things.
Oh, Derek is getting teary. This has been like a really warm, emotional conversation. It's good to see that there's such unity throughout this industry in our city. Cozy, tight Windsor and Essex community here.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think with that, then we will say good night. And yeah, I look forward to seeing and eating at your restaurants ASAP. Thank you for everything. And
Thank
also at the University of Windsor, if I've done my time
Anytime.
there, but who's to say I won't go back, right?
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you. All right, bye everyone. Take care.
Okay. Thanks,
Ciao,
guys.
guys.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you
Thanks.
all.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.